Well, a much-awaited speech at the United Nations interrupted by a walkout. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu isolated on the world stage at the UN General Assembly before even muttering a word. Delegates from dozens of countries just walked out, and it was a stark moment. Netanyahu just standing there silent as the seats emptied out.
Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall.
Well, the Israeli leader delivered his address despite those protests, Netanyahu condemning the recognition of a Palestinian state as sheer madness and calling the recognition by several other countries disgraceful. He also outright rejected the notion that his country is committing genocide and warned Israel is not done yet.
Take the false charge of genocide. Israel is accused of deliberately targeting civilians. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposite is true.
Netanyahu's speech, a direct contrast to what we heard from Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas yesterday, the Palestinian leader demanding recognition for a Palestinian state and an immediate end to the war in Gaza, including the release of all hostages on both sides. For more, let's bring in our Matt Rivers there outside the UN, along with foreign correspondent Patrick Reevell. All right, Matt, let's talk about just the significance of this walkout.
Well, it was a majority of delegates in the room. I mean, it was striking. We've seen walkouts before when Benjamin Netanyahu has spoken, but this one was big. And I think it shows you the growing international chorus, really, of condemnation against Netanyahu. The idea that you had the UK and France and Canada and other countries call for the establishment of a Palestinian state. Very, very big deal. And I think that that kind of momentum was seen in the room when you saw those people walk out. But really, this was a day of protest. Where I am outside here in a plaza not far from the UN building, there were a few thousand people here at one point, just about an hour or so ago, here for a pro-Palestinian protest, an anti-Netanyahu protest. The message was clear across the board. The war is a genocide. Netanyahu is a war criminal. The war must stop right now. That is the message that we heard across the day here in this plaza, and also certainly the opinion of many of those delegates who walked out inside that building.
So President Trump, Patrick, is now teasing a deal that he says will end the war in Gaza. Let's take a listen to exactly what he said.
I think it's a deal that will get the hostages back. It's going to be a deal that will end the war. It's going to be a deal which it's going to be peace. I think we have a deal.
What do you think? Does it have any teeth?
President Trump was being extremely bullish about the possibility of a deal, saying that he believes there is now one. But we have heard many, many times now from President Trump saying that he believes we're on the verge of a deal, only for it then not to materialize. And right now, we simply don't know if we will now see one. Obviously, listening to Benjamin Netanyahu, there was very little indication there that we are closer to a deal. He made no mention of it. He just again reiterated Israel's demands that Hamas hand over the hostages and also disarm and will have no role in Gaza in the future. But we do know that President Trump earlier this week met with regional leaders and again discussed a plan, including more detail about what the sort of governance could look like of Gaza once this war is ended and how Hamas would be excluded from that. So there is a possibility that there is something in the works now. Benjamin Netanyahu is due to meet with President Trump at the White House, we believe likely on Monday. Perhaps there we will see the president try and push Netanyahu towards a deal. But for now, a great deal of uncertainty remains, Kira.
And Matt, Abbas has already said that Hamas will have no role in governing Gaza and that it must hand its weapons over to the Palestinian Authority. So why is that not enough for Israel?
Well, because what Israel says is that never actually happens, that the Palestinian Authority, after decades of being in control, was weakened, was pushed out by Hamas. Hamas, in Israel's view, is the true governing body of the Palestinian state. What they would say is that any future Palestinian state is a Hamas state. That, of course, is contended by many people on the other side, but that is the consistent message from the Israeli government, that the Palestinian Authority is so weak and so corrupt that it doesn't actually have the ability to effectively govern the Palestinian people, any Palestinian state in the future, in lieu of Hamas. That's the consistent argument from Israel, and that argument is not likely to change.
All right, Matt Rivers right there outside the UN for us, along with Patrick Reevell. Gentlemen, thank you.